I don't want Chief to catch us doing this in his own mansion, Teresa, the lawyer whispered, his voice trembling as he glanced nervously at the massive bed where Chief Obinna Kalu lay still, his dark glasses sitting firmly on his face. Teresa chuckled, pressing closer to him. Catch us? Don't be foolish, she said softly, her lips almost brushing his ear. The old man can't even see his own hand in front of him. Talk less of catching us. He's blind and useless now. The two of them giggled shamelessly, their shadows dancing across the walls of the dimly lit room. On the bed, Chief Obinna's fists tightened slowly under the thick blanket. His breathing stayed calm, his chest rising and falling as though he were fast asleep. But his heart was on fire, each word they spoke burning him deeper than a knife wound. The lawyer swallowed hard. I still don't feel safe, Teresa. What if someone else sees us? What about the maid? What if she tells him something? Teresa waved her hand dismissively. Chioma? That poor girl? She wouldn't dare. And even if she wanted to, who would believe her over me? She's just a maid. I am Chief's wife. What I say is what everyone believes. Her confidence made Obinna's chest tighten. He wanted to jump up and expose her right there, but he forced himself to remain still. His plan was bigger than anger. He needed to see how far they would go, how deep their betrayal would sink. Teresa laughed again, holding her lover close, right in the same room where her husband lay. Relax, darling. This house is mine already. The company's are next. Once the blind fool signs the documents, you and I will have everything we want. The lawyer kissed her cheek nervously. You're dangerous, Teresa, but I like it. Obinna could not take another word. He clenched his teeth so hard it hurt, but he refused to move. His pride would not allow him to let them know he was listening. He lay there quietly, his mind racing, his chest heavy, his soul broken. Minutes passed before Teresa finally left with the lawyer, closing the door gently behind them. Silence returned to the room. Obinna slowly opened his eyes behind the dark glasses. His face was stiff, his jaw tight. He whispered to himself, So it has come to this, Teresa? My own wife in my own house. He turned his face to the wall and let out a long, painful sigh. He had suspected for a long time that Teresa was not loyal, but he never imagined she would sink this low, bringing her lover into his mansion, mocking him right in front of his face. But this was just the beginning. Morning came slowly. Sunlight crept through the curtains, falling across the bed where Obinna still lay, pretending to be helpless. His head throbbed with thoughts of the night before. He heard footsteps approaching, soft, careful steps. The door opened quietly, and Chioma, the maid, walked in holding a tray. Good morning, Chief, Chioma said gently. I brought your breakfast. I made pap and akara. I know it's your favorite in the morning. Her voice carried no mockery, no cruelty, only genuine care. Obinna turned his face slightly toward her, his expression hidden behind his glasses. Thank you, Chioma, he said quietly. She walked closer and set the tray on the table beside him. Do you want me to help you sit up, sir? He nodded slowly. Yes, please. Chioma moved carefully, helping him sit up on the bed. She adjusted his pillow, making sure he was comfortable before placing the tray in front of him. She even tested the pap with a spoon to make sure it wasn't too hot. Be careful, sir, she said softly. Blow it before you sip. Obinna's throat tightened. How could the simple maid show him more kindness than his own wife and children? He ate slowly, each bite heavy in his mouth. Chioma stood close, watching patiently. She didn't rush him, didn't insult him. She treated him like he was still the powerful man he had always been. After a few minutes, the door burst open. Teresa walked in, dressed elegantly in a red gown, her hair perfectly styled, her face painted with expensive makeup. She looked at Chioma and frowned. Why are you still here, Chioma? Shouldn't you be cleaning the sitting room? Or is feeding my husband now your full-time job? Chioma lowered her head respectfully. Sorry, madam. I'll go now. Obinna turned his face toward Teresa. Let her be. She was only helping me. Teresa forced a smile. Of course, darling. She's just a maid. I'm the one who should be feeding you. But you know I have so many things to do. She walked over and adjusted his blanket dramatically, pretending to care. But Obinna felt the insincerity dripping from her every movement. How did you sleep? She asked, her tone sweet but empty. Obinna swallowed his anger. I slept fine. Teresa touched his hand lightly. Good. You need your strength. Soon we'll have to look at those documents your lawyer prepared. You can't delay forever, Obinna. Life must go on, blind or not. Her words were soft, but the message was sharp. She wanted his signature. She wanted control. Obinna nodded slowly, hiding his thoughts. We'll see about that. Teresa smiled and kissed his cheek lightly before standing up. I'll leave you to rest. I have an appointment with some friends. She turned and walked out, her heels clicking on the floor. Obinna sat in silence for a long moment. Then he turned his face toward Chioma, who was still standing quietly by the door. Chioma, he said softly. Yes, sir. Thank you. She smiled faintly. You don't need to thank me, Chief. It's my duty. No, he said firmly, his voice low. It's not just duty. You care. That's more than I can say for some people in this house. Chioma lowered her head again, her smile fading into sadness. She knew what he meant, but she didn't dare say it. Later that afternoon, Mike came home. He walked into his father's room without knocking, his phone pressed to his ear. He was dressed in flashy designer clothes, his voice loud and impatient. Dad, he said sharply, ending his call. We need to talk about the company shares. The board is restless. Investors are waiting. You can't keep stalling because of this situation. Obinna turned his face toward him. What situation? Mike sighed loudly. Come on, Dad. Don't act like you don't know. You're blind now. You can't run the company. People are laughing already. We need to move fast before things collapse. Obinna clenched his jaw. And who will run the company? You. Of course, Mike said proudly. I'm your first son. Who else? Obinna stayed silent. He didn't want to argue yet. He wanted to hear more. Mike stepped closer. All you need to do is sign the documents. Give me the authority to handle things. If you love this family, you'll do it. Obinna's lips curved into a faint, bitter smile. If I love this family, he repeated softly. Yes, Mike said quickly. Don't make things hard, Dad. Just sign. Everyone will be better off. Before Obinna could reply, Rachel walked in, holding a shopping bag. She looked at her father briefly before turning to Mike. Mike, are you still talking to him? Can't you see he's tired? Don't stress him with business matters. Mike frowned. Rachel, you don't understand anything about business. Rachel rolled her eyes. And you don't understand anything about class. I need Dad's card. My friends are hosting a party, and I can't go looking cheap. Obinna turned his head slowly toward her. You need my card? Yes, Daddy, Rachel said sweetly, walking closer and holding his arm. Please, just a small amount. I don't want to embarrass myself in front of my friends. Obinna pulled his arm away gently. Do you care about your father's health at all? Rachel frowned. Daddy, don't make this about health. You know how people talk. If I don't look good, they'll say our family is finished because of your condition. Her words cut deep, but she didn't notice. She was too busy looking at herself in the mirror. Obinna sat in silence, his heart heavier than ever. His wife was betraying him. His son was pressuring him. His daughter was ashamed of him. The only person who showed him real kindness was the maid. He leaned back against his pillow, hiding his pain behind his dark glasses. Inside, he made a silent vow. I will not expose myself yet. I will watch. I will listen. And when the time is right, they will all see the truth. I told you already. Once the blind fool signs the papers, everything will belong to us. Teresa's voice was sharp, almost impatient, as she spoke into her phone. Chief Obinna was seated quietly in the sitting room, pretending to nap on the couch. His dark glasses hid his eyes, but his ears caught every single word. The voice on the other end of the phone was low but firm. It was the lawyer again. Teresa, you must be careful. He may be blind, but he's not stupid. What if he suspects? Teresa laughed bitterly. Suspects what? That his loving wife wants the best for him? No one will believe such a thing. Even if he hears whispers, he has no proof. Trust me, darling. Soon, his signature will be ours. Obina's chest rose slowly, his heart heavy. He clenched his hands tightly but kept still. He could almost feel the knife cutting deeper into his soul with every word. Teresa continued, her voice dripping with mockery. Do you know the shame I feel walking beside him in public? Everyone stares at us. Teresa, married to a blind man. It is embarrassing. He should have just died in that accident instead of making me live like this. The words stabbed like fire into Obina's ears. His face twitched, but he kept it hidden. He let out a slow breath through his nose, pretending to shift in his seat. Anyway, Teresa added with a smile in her tone, don't worry. When I am done with him, you and I will have the companies, the cars, the properties. I will finally be free to live the life I deserve. The lawyer chuckled lightly. You're truly something, Teresa. She lowered her voice. And you love it, don't you? Of course, he replied. Obina couldn't listen anymore. He leaned back, his head resting on the chair, his mind burning with pain. His wife, the woman he had given everything to, was now openly planning to strip him of everything, right under his roof. That evening, when Teresa walked into the dining room where Obina sat waiting for dinner, she wore her usual fake smile. She leaned down and kissed his cheek. How was your day, darling? Obina turned his face slightly toward her. His voice was calm, but inside he was boiling. Quiet, very quiet. Teresa touched his shoulder. Don't worry, things will soon get better. I have spoken with the lawyer. He will help us sort the documents. You mustn't delay too long, Obina. Business matters won't wait forever. Obina nodded slowly. You seem to talk about documents a lot these days, Teresa. She chuckled nervously. Because I care. I don't want people taking advantage of you. If you trust me, you will let me handle it. Obina's lips curled into a faint smile behind his glasses. Yes, if I trust you. Teresa froze for a second, then quickly forced another smile. Of course you do. I am your wife. Chioma entered with the food, carrying a tray of jollof rice and fried chicken. She placed it gently on the table. Chief, your dinner is ready. Obina nodded toward her. Thank you, Chioma. Teresa glanced at the maid with irritation. Why is it always you serving him? Don't you have other work in this house? Chioma lowered her head. Sorry, madam. I thought. Obina raised his hand slightly. Let her be, Teresa. She takes care of me well. Isn't that enough? Teresa pressed her lips together, her eyes cold, but she said nothing. Later that night, Obina lay on his bed, staring up at the ceiling though his eyes were hidden. His mind replayed Teresa's phone call again and again. He wanted to confront her, to shout, to expose her, but something inside told him to wait. The truth had to come out fully. He needed to see just how much they were willing to betray him. The door creaked open slightly. Chioma peeked in, holding a small lantern. Chief, are you awake? Yes, Chioma, Obina replied softly. She walked in and set the lantern down. I just came to check if you need anything. I noticed you didn't finish your food. Obina sighed. I wasn't hungry. She looked at him with concern. Are you okay, sir? He forced a smile. I will be fine. Chioma hesitated, then whispered, Don't mind madam, sir. Sometimes she speaks too harshly. But you still have people who care about you. Obina's chest tightened. He turned his face toward her. Chioma, you don't know how much your words mean to me right now. She smiled faintly. It's the truth, Chief. You're a good man. You deserve kindness. Obina's throat burned, but he swallowed his emotions. He only nodded and said quietly, Thank you. The next morning, Obina sat in the living room while Teresa prepared to go out. She wore a glittering dress and high heels, her makeup perfect. She looked more like a woman going for a date than a wife staying home. Where are you going? Obina asked suddenly. Teresa paused, startled, then quickly composed herself. I have a meeting with some friends. Social matters. Obinna tilted his head. Social matters? Or private matters? Teresa froze for half a second, then forced a laugh. Oh, Obinna, you worry too much. Just friends, nothing else. He smiled faintly. Very well. Enjoy yourself. Teresa kissed his cheek quickly and left. As soon as she was gone, Obinna called softly, Chioma. The maid appeared. Yes, Chief. Did you see who she left with? He asked. Chioma hesitated. Yes, sir. It was the lawyer. Obinna closed his eyes slowly behind his glasses. I see. That evening, Teresa returned, smelling of expensive perfume. She looked radiant, her face glowing with laughter as if she had spent the day in paradise. Obinna sat quietly in his chair, his walking stick resting against the arm. He turned his head toward her as she walked in. You seem very happy today, he said softly. Teresa smiled, adjusting her earrings. Yes, my friends always make me laugh. Obinna nodded slowly. Friends, yes. Teresa walked over and placed her hand on his shoulder. Don't worry, darling. Soon all your stress will be gone. Trust me. Obinna forced a faint smile. Oh, I trust you, Teresa. More than you can imagine. Her eyes flickered, but she quickly smiled again. Days passed. Teresa's disrespect grew bolder. She stopped hiding her late-night calls. She laughed louder, cared less. She even spoke harshly to Obinna in front of the children, mocking him for spilling water or bumping into chairs. One night, Obinna was sitting quietly when he heard Teresa on the phone again. This time, her voice was sharp, urgent. No, listen, darling, she hissed into the receiver. We can't delay. If he refuses to sign willingly, we'll have to push harder. He won't resist me for long. He's weak. He's blind. What can he do? The lawyer's voice was faint but audible. Teresa, are you sure? Forcing him may cause suspicion. She laughed coldly. Suspicion from who? His children. They're already on my side. Mike wants the company. Rachel wants money. They will support me. Don't worry. Soon, everything will be ours. Obinna sat in silence, his chest heavy, his mind burning. He had heard enough. His wife was not just unfaithful. She was conspiring with his own children to destroy him. He leaned back against the chair, whispering to himself, So this is my family, my blood. Betrayal everywhere, except from the one they call maid. He clenched his fists slowly, his face calm but his heart roaring inside. They think I am blind. They think I am weak. But the day of reckoning will come. Dad, this nonsense has to stop. Mike's loud voice echoed through the mansion as he stormed into Chief Obinna's bedroom without knocking. Obinna sat quietly on his bed, dressed in a clean white kaftan. His walking stick rested against the side of the bed. Behind his dark glasses, his face was calm, but inside, his chest tightened at his son's tone. Mike stood tall in front of him, dressed in a designer shirt and gold chain. His phone was in his hand, his voice sharp and impatient. Do you know how much money we are losing every day? Do you know what the board members are saying? They are calling me, not you. They want answers, Dad. And what do I tell them? That my father is blind and cannot even sign a paper. Obinna tilted his head slightly. So that is how you speak to me now, Mike? Mike waved his hand. I'm not here to argue. I'm here to tell you the truth. The company cannot survive like this. Investors are threatening to pull out. If you don't act, we will lose everything you built. Obinna's lips curved into a faint smile. And what action do you suggest? Sign the documents, Mike said firmly. Transfer authority to me. Let me take control. I'm young. I'm sharp. I know what to do. You can sit back and rest. That's the best option for all of us. Obinna leaned forward slightly. And if I refuse? Mike frowned, his voice dropping. Then you are being selfish. Do you want your empire to crumble just because you're too proud to accept the truth? Obinna's fingers drummed slowly against the bed. So I am selfish for not handing my life's work to you? Yes, Mike snapped. You can't run anything anymore. You can't even walk without help. What do you want to prove? That you're still strong? You're not. You're blind. And the world has no mercy for men who refuse to step aside. Obina's chest burned, but he kept his voice calm. You forget yourself, Mike. Mike laughed bitterly. Forget myself? I am the first son. If not for me, who else? Rachel? She only cares about makeup and parties. At least I have sense. At least I want to secure the company. Obina leaned back against his pillow, his face expressionless. You want to secure it? Or you want to own it? Mike froze for a second, then smirked. What difference does it make? Either way, it stays in the family. Obina remained silent. That evening, Mike returned again, this time with friends. They laughed loudly in the sitting room, bottles of alcohol clinking, music blasting. Obina sat quietly in his room upstairs, listening to the noise filtering through the walls. Through the noise, he heard Mike's voice shouting over the music. Soon, all this will be mine. The companies, the houses, the cars. Everything. My father is finished. Blind and old. He has no choice but to hand it over. The friends cheered and clapped, their laughter filling the house. Obina closed his eyes slowly, his fists tightening under the blanket. His own son, boasting of his downfall to strangers. The next morning, Mike walked into his father's room again, this time calmer but still arrogant. He sat down carelessly on the chair opposite the bed, his phone in his hand. Dad, he said, scrolling through his phone. I've been thinking, we need to expand into Abuja. There's a lot of money there, but for that I need full signing power. Investors won't take me seriously unless you transfer authority. Obina turned his face toward him. You want me to give you power to spend as you like? Mike shrugged. To grow the business. Don't you trust me? Obina smiled faintly. Trust is earned, Mike. And what have you done to earn it? Mike leaned forward. I'm your son. Isn't that enough? Obina shook his head slowly. No, Mike. Blood is not enough. Loyalty is. Mike scoffed and leaned back in his chair. You will regret this stubbornness, Dad. You think you're testing us, but you're only delaying the inevitable. Whether you like it or not, I will control everything one day. Obina's heart sank. His own son was not just impatient. He was already gone, swallowed by greed. Later that week, Teresa joined Mike in Obina's room. She stood behind her son, her hand on his shoulder. Obina, she said sweetly, why are you making things difficult? Mike is right. The company needs leadership. You can't handle stress in your condition. Why not allow him? He is your son. He will protect your interests. Obina tilted his head. Protect my interests? Or yours? Teresa frowned slightly, but Mike quickly spoke. Dad, don't twist this. I'm only thinking about the future. Obina smiled bitterly. Yes, the future where I no longer exist. Teresa forced a laugh. Don't say that. You will live long. But even if you live long, you must be wise. A blind man cannot lead. Hand it over before everything collapses. Obina sat quietly, his lips pressed tightly together. That night, Obina could not sleep. He paced slowly in his room, using his walking stick to feel his way around. His heart was heavy. He thought of Mike's words, Teresa's encouragement, the laughter of strangers drinking in his house. He whispered to himself, so even my son sees me as nothing now. Even my blood conspires against me. The door creaked and Chioma entered quietly. Chief, are you all right? You didn't eat dinner. Obina sat down slowly. Chioma, do you think I am useless now? Her eyes widened. No, sir. Never. Why would you ask me that? He sighed. Because that is how my own family sees me. Chioma shook her head firmly. Your family is wrong. You are still Chief Obina. Everyone out there knows your name. Blindness cannot erase that. You are still a great man. Obina's chest tightened. He looked down, his voice low. If only my own children could see me the way you do. Chioma knelt down gently. Sir, don't give up. Truth always comes out. One day, they will regret treating you this way. Obina placed his hand on her shoulder gently. You are the only one who still speaks life into me, Chioma. Don't stop. She nodded silently, her eyes filled with quiet determination. Days passed and Mike grew bolder. He began bringing home expensive cars, claiming they were business investments. He threw parties with his friends, using company money without permission. Teresa encouraged him, saying, Enjoy yourself, my son. One day all this will be yours anyway. Obina watched silently, hiding his pain behind his dark glasses. One evening, as he sat in the sitting room, he overheard Mike speaking to Teresa in the corner. Mom, Dad is too stubborn. He won't sign. What if we declare him incompetent? The lawyer said it's possible. If we prove he can't manage himself, the court can transfer everything to us. Teresa lowered her voice. Don't worry. Leave it to me. I know how to handle him. Soon he will sign one way or another. Obina leaned back in his chair, his chest heavy, his mind burning with silent rage. His wife, his son, together plotting his downfall. He whispered to himself, Even my own blood wants to bury me alive, but they will soon learn. I may be blind, but I see everything. Daddy, please don't come outside with me. You will embarrass me. That was the first thing Rachel said that morning, loud and sharp, right there at the staircase. Chief Obina stood at the bottom with his walking stick, dressed in a clean kaftan. Chioma was beside him, ready to guide him to the sitting room. Rachel was on the last step, dressed for a brunch party. Heels, tiny purse, hair laid, perfume everywhere. Obina turned his face toward her voice. Embarrass you how, Rachel? She sighed like he was a burden. Daddy, my friends are coming any minute. They don't need to see you like this. Please just stay upstairs or go to your room. I'll greet you when I get back. Teresa's voice floated from the corridor. Leave her, Obina. Young girls care about image. Don't spoil her day. Chioma looked from mother to daughter, then at Chief. Sir, sit. I'll bring tea. Obina held his stick tighter. I only wanted to give my daughter some money and pray for her. Is that a crime? Rachel's eyes flashed. Daddy, please. You don't understand. People talk. I can't explain to every friend why my father is like this. The doorbell rang. Rachel's face changed. She forced a smile. They're here. Please, Daddy, just, please. Before anyone could move, the door opened and two girls rushed in laughing. Rach, you're glowing, one shouted, then stopped when she saw Obina and the stick. Her smile wobbled. The other girl looked at Teresa for help. Teresa stepped forward quickly. Welcome, my dears. Rachel is ready. She blocked their view of Obina with her body, as if he were a stain on the wall. Obina took a step forward, missed the rug edge, and stumbled. The stick clattered on the tiles. There was a small gasp. Rachel covered her face with her hand. Chioma, Obina said quietly. I'm here, sir. She caught his arm and steadied him. Rachel laughed a small, fake laugh, trying to smooth it over for her friends. Don't mind him. He always refuses help. Daddy, please go inside. Obina straightened up slowly. His voice was calm. Rachel. She didn't look at him. Yes, Daddy? He reached into his pocket and brought out a folded envelope. Take this. Use it for whatever you need. And listen, may God guide you. May you never forget where you come from. She took the envelope without meeting his eyes. Thank you. Then, still to her friends, let's go. We're late. One of the friends whispered, Is he? Rachel cut her off. Yes, long story. Let's not talk about it. They swept out. The front door closed. A silence like a slap stayed behind. Teresa exhaled. You see? You almost ruined her morning. Why do you like drama? Obina. Obina turned his head slowly. Drama. Teresa clicked her tongue and walked away. Chioma guided him to the sofa. She placed the stick back in his hand, then knelt to fix the rug so he wouldn't trip again. Sorry, sir. It's not your fault. He sat, breathing in and out. My daughter is ashamed of me. Chioma shook her head hard. She spoke badly, yes, but hearts can change. He smiled sadly. The heart shows itself when it thinks nobody is watching. By noon, Rachel's laughter was already on her Instagram story. Music, clinking cutlery, plates of pancakes, hands with painted nails. Teresa sat beside Obina scrolling through the same posts. See enjoyment, she said loudly. This is what a young girl should be doing, not babysitting a blind man. Obina kept quiet. Chioma stood in a corner, folding clothes from the laundries, listening. Teresa leaned back. You know, I told Rachel not to let pity finish her life. Life is for living. If people laugh at her because of your condition, will they give her joy? No. Let her protect her image. Obina's lips moved, a dry smile. Protect her image from her father. Teresa ignored the sting. Exactly. The gate buzzer sounded again around 2 p.m. Rachel and her friends had returned to change for a second outing. A pop-up market at the mall. They rushed through the sitting room. Rachel didn't even greet. She only said, "Mummy, I'm changing my shoes," and flew upstairs. "Rachel," Obina called. Silence. He tried again. "Rachel." Her footsteps stopped, then resumed. The bedroom door shut. Teresa laughed lightly. "She's busy. Stop calling her." A few minutes later, Rachel came down in a new dress. She walked past Obina as if he were a statue. Her friends followed. "Daughter," Obina said softly. She faced the door. "Yes, Daddy. Come." She hesitated, then shuffled 2 steps closer. He lifted his hand into the air, unsure of her exact position. Chioma gently guided his hand to Rachel's. He squeezed her fingers. "Remember your name. Remember your home." Rachel's hand was cold. "Okay." They left again. The door shut harder this time. Evening slid in. Chioma convinced Obina to get some air in the compound. The sky was soft and orange. He sat on the veranda while she watered the flowers. They didn't talk much. Peace was in the quiet work. Then a car horn at the gate. Loud music. Laughing voices. Rachel's group again, now with more people. They drove right into the compound this time like it was a club. 2 boys hopped out with speakers. Someone yelled, "Ratch, the pictures will bang here." Rachel stepped out, saw her father on the veranda, and froze. The boy with the speaker looked from Chief to her. "Is that your dad?" Rachel laughed, thin and nervous. "Let's just take pictures over there." Obina raised his hand slightly. "Rachel." She glanced at him, then at the phones already up for recording. "Daddy, please." "Not now." One boy whispered, not softly enough. Nah, the blind chief. "I hear say." Rachel shot him a look. "Shut up." She turned to her friends. "Guys, let's move to the back garden." Then to Chioma. Sharp. "Tell him to go inside." Chioma's mouth opened, then closed. She looked at Chief. Obina's voice was steady. "Chioma, leave me. The air is good here." Rachel flared. "Why must you sit here when I'm with people? You want them to be pitying me? Is that your joy?" Obina took a breath. "You are my daughter. I am not ashamed." Teresa's voice sliced in from behind, smooth and cold. "Rachel, don't argue. Just go." "Chief, let her be young." Rachel spun away, heels biting the tiles. The group went to the back. Laughter rose again. The boy with the speaker said something about content. More laughter. Obina's fingers pressed into the arm of the chair. He didn't speak. He only listened to his child laugh far from him. After some minutes, the group came around to the front again for one last set of videos near the cars. Rachel's heel caught the edge of the step. She stumbled a little. Her friend grabbed her. They both laughed. Then Obina stood, trying to rise and greet them properly, but his stick slipped. He caught himself on the pillar. A low ah escaped him. Rachel's laugh came too fast, too loud, like a cover. "Chioma, please hold him." "Why is nobody attending to him?" The boy with the phone lowered it. Awkward. "Maybe we should." Rachel snapped. "Record a beg." Chioma hurried to steady Chief. "I have you, sir. I'm here." He sank back into the seat, breathing slow. Rachel turned to her group and forced a bright smile. Okay, last shot. Everyone say, soft life. They shouted. Phones flashed. Then they piled into the cars and sped out of the compound with music vibrating the street. Silence fell again, heavy and rude. Teresa exhaled as if relieved. Finally, Obinna faced the yard. My own child. Chioma knelt beside him. Sir. He shook his head slightly. It's all right. It's not, she said, voice tight. It's not all right. He smiled with no joy. Thank you for saying that. Later, in the kitchen, Rachel came in alone to drink water before going upstairs. She almost bumped into Chioma. Excuse me, Rachel said, not looking up. Chioma spoke gently. Madam Rachel. Chief only wanted to sit where breeze was blowing. He did nothing wrong. Rachel rolled her eyes. Are you teaching me how to treat my father now? No, Chioma said. I'm begging you. Don't let strangers teach you how to despise him. Rachel paused at the door. You don't know what it feels like to be me. Leave me alone. She walked out. Teresa appeared from the pantry, heard the last line, and tapped Rachel's shoulder as they crossed. You did well today, she whispered. Protect your space. People are watching. Rachel nodded, eyes hard. I know. That night the house went quiet again. From his room, Obinna heard Rachel's heels click once, twice, then the soft thud as she slipped them off. He heard her door close. He sat on his bed, hands clasped. Chioma brought warm water and a towel. For your legs, sir. He nodded. She wiped carefully like a daughter would. They didn't talk for a while. Finally, he said, a father should be a covering, not a disgrace. That is what my child believes now. Chioma wrung the towel, eyes wet. One day she will see clearly. Obinna smiled sadly behind the glasses. I pray so. He lay back. The fan hummed. Somewhere in the house, Rachel was laughing on a call, telling someone about her content, about the angles, about how the light caught her face. She didn't mention her father sitting on the veranda a few meters away, listening to her pretend he did not exist. Chief closed his eyes. He didn't sleep. He listened. He remembered. He waited. The bedroom door opened quietly, and another man walked in behind Teresa. Chief Obinna lay still on the bed, his dark glasses in place, his walking stick leaning on the side stool. He didn't move. He only listened. The man whispered, Teresa, are you sure? What if he wakes up? Teresa chuckled. Even if he wakes, he can't see us. Relax. They came closer, perfume and aftershave mixing in the warm night air. The man's voice was the same low voice Obinna had heard on the phone many times. The family lawyer. He stood a few steps from the bed and lowered his tone. We have to push the papers soon. If he delays again, we'll miss the window. Teresa's laugh was soft but sharp. He won't delay. I'll handle him. Tomorrow we'll tell him the board wants quick action. He listens when I speak softly. The lawyer shifted. Still, I don't want Chief to catch us again. Teresa pressed a finger to his lips. He won't catch us. He's blind, darling. They both giggled. On the bed, Obinna's hand tightened under the blanket. He kept his breathing slow. He could hear their clothes brush, their necklaces touch, their whispers push against his skin like knives. He stared at the ceiling he could not see and said nothing. The lawyer's voice became bolder. So tomorrow I'll come by the house like I'm here for business. We'll lay the documents out. Power of attorney first. Once he signs that, everything else will follow. Teresa's reply was cold. Good. Bring the pen. Use the blue one. The signature looks better in blue. The man laughed. You woman. They moved closer to each other, so close Obinna felt the bed move a little with their steps. Teresa's voice dropped, mocking and careless. Look at him, she said. The great Chief Obinna. Helpless, quiet, blind. The lawyer risked one more foolish joke. Long may he sleep. Teresa snorted. Amen. A few minutes later they slipped out the way they came, closing the door softly like thieves who felt safe. Silence. Heavy, bitter silence. Obinna swallowed. He turned his face to the wall and let the air out slowly through his nose. He felt so cold even under the blanket. He wanted to shout and tear the night, but he stayed still. He chose silence because silence was his weapon now. He needed to see the full shape of their betrayal. He needed to know who was with them and how far they would go. The door creaked again. "Chief!" Chioma's voice was a whisper. "Are you awake?" He answered in a low tone. "Yes, Chioma." She stepped in with a small flask and a cup. "I brought warm water. Your throat will be dry." He sat up carefully. She helped him adjust the pillow. "Thank you." She poured and held the cup to his hand. Her fingers were steady. "Drink small." He sipped. The water felt like peace. She didn't pry. She didn't ask about the voices she might have heard in the corridor. She only said, "If you need anything, call me. I will hear." He nodded. "I know." She took the cup and moved toward the door. Before she left, she turned back, voice softer. "You are not alone, sir." He wanted to say many things. How her words were keeping him from breaking. How her quiet hands were the only light left in the house. But all he said was, "Thank you, Chioma." Morning came with loud chatter from the kitchen. Teresa's voice cut through plates and pots. "Chioma, small portion for him this morning. No meat. He is not a child. He doesn't need much. And don't be wasting stew on one man." Chioma's answer was calm. "Yes, madam." Obinna sat in the dining room, listening to everything. He heard the clink of the tray as Chioma approached. She served him gently, 2 slices of bread, a small egg sauce, warm tea. Teresa swept in, fresh makeup, cold perfume. "Good morning, darling," she said too sweetly. "How did you sleep?" "Fine," he said. "Good." She touched his shoulder as if she was soft. "The lawyer will stop by, just to check some company matters. Don't worry, I'll handle the hard parts. You only have to sign what we discuss." He faced her voice. "You and the lawyer are very close." She laughed. "We are close to your success." He took a slow sip of tea. "I see." She moved behind him and tightened a napkin at his neck like he was a child. "Eat well. We need your strength." Then, sharper to Chioma, "Don't stand there like a tree. The sitting room needs dusting." Chioma gathered the tray edges, but Obinna said softly, "Let her be. She can stay." Teresa pretended not to hear. The lawyer arrived with a briefcase and an innocent smile. "Chief, good morning, sir. I came to go over small paperwork. Nothing serious." Obinna didn't move. "Good morning." Teresa led him to the opposite end of the table. Papers rustled. Pen clicked. The lawyer spoke in a careful tone, as if reading a list to a child. "This first one is a simple authorization. It allows Madam to sign a few things on your behalf. Routine. It will help the company move fast." Teresa added, "We don't want people delaying us because you can't attend meetings." Obinna tilted his head. "Because I can't see?" Silence for one small beat. The lawyer cleared his throat. "Because you need rest, sir." Obinna nodded slowly. "Read it out." The lawyer began to read. He simplified words, skipped lines, sped up at the parts that gave too much power, slowed down at the harmless lines. Teresa hummed small and approving. They thought his ears were weak because his eyes were covered. When he finished, Obinna said, "I will think about it." Teresa's tone turned gentle and pushy. "There is nothing to think about. It is normal. Sign, and let life move." "I said I will think about it," he repeated calm. The lawyer coughed into his fist. "Of course, sir. Take your time." Teresa's smile did not reach her eyes. "We will bring it again later." They packed the papers as if they had won something anyway. As they stood to go, the lawyer leaned toward Teresa, forgetting himself. "I'll see you later," he murmured. Obinna heard it. Teresa shifted. "At the office," she said quickly, a little too loud. They left the dining room together. Their steps matched. Obinna sat still. He could feel Chioma watching from the kitchen door, her hands squeezed around a towel. He turned to her voice. "You heard." Chioma came closer. "I heard." He nodded. "Do not fear. Just be near." "I am here," she said. By afternoon, Teresa changed the rule again. Lunch is light, she told Chioma. No second serving. He is adding weight and doing nothing. Chioma looked down. Yes, madam. But later, when the house was quiet, she came to Obina's room with an extra bowl. Pepper soup with soft fish, small yam. She closed the door gently and placed the tray on his lap. He smiled with real hunger. You read my mind. I read your heart, she said, then looked shy. Sorry. I just know you didn't eat enough. He ate slowly. She sat nearby, not talking, just present. Afterward, she wiped his hands, cleared the tray and said, I'll take it now before madam comes. He held the edge of the tray for a second. Chioma. Yes, sir. Thank you for not letting me starve. Her eyes went wet. Never, sir. Footsteps in the corridor. Teresa's. Chioma moved fast, hiding the bowl behind her. Teresa entered with a bright smile that had no warmth. Resting, darling? Yes. She glanced at Chioma. What is in your hand? Laundry list, madam. Teresa stared for one long second, then smiled again. Good girl. Leave us. Chioma slipped out. Teresa sat on the bed, very close. I'm going out later, she said. Another meeting. Important. With the lawyer? Obina asked. With my life, she replied. He turned his face toward her perfume. If I sign the power of attorney today, will you stop resenting me? She laughed softly. Don't say that. I don't resent you. I resent this situation. He said nothing. She patted his hand like a nurse. We'll be fine when things are moving again. She stood. Change into something nice for evening air. Chioma will help you. When she left, the room felt lighter. Chioma returned and exhaled, the hidden bowl now gone. Sir, should I bring your brown kaftan? Yes, he said. The one you ironed. She helped him change. Every button, every fold, careful. They went to the veranda as the sun began to fall. The breeze touched his face. He sat and listened to the birds. After a while he spoke. Chioma, do you think a man should keep quiet when his house is burning? She answered slowly. If the fire is small, he can shout and pour water. If the fire is hidden in the walls, he must first find where it started. He nodded. This fire is inside the walls. Then we will watch, she said. And we will be ready. For the first time that day, he smiled and it reached his eyes behind the glasses. We, he repeated. Yes, sir, Chioma said. We. From inside the house, Teresa's laughter floated again. Full, careless, like she owned the air. A car horn answered from the gate. The lawyer's voice followed, polite and comfortable, already two at home. Chief Obina sat still, the breeze on his face, his jaw set. He would not speak yet, but he had seen enough. Seen with his ears, seen with his pain, seen with the quiet love of the only person who still treated him like a human being. Night came down on the mansion, and with it, another plan, another lie, another step in a dance that would soon end. Where is my walking stick? Chief Obina's voice came out small, not because he was weak, but because the room was too quiet. He patted the side stool. Nothing. He felt the edge of the bed. Nothing. He let his hand slide to the floor. Teresa stood by the doorway, arms folded. Are you not the one that keeps it? Maybe it grew legs and walked away. Rachel giggled from the corridor. Check the floor, Daddy. You will see it if you look well. Mike's voice was flat. We're running late. Can we finish this quickly? Obina breathed in. Please, someone help me stand. Teresa turned her face away as if bored. Stand how? You need to learn small independence. Rachel's phone was in her hand, half raised. Just try, Daddy. It's not far. He slid one foot to the floor, then the other. He stood, hands open, feeling for the stick that was not there. He took one step. His knee touched the edge of the rug. The rug had been shifted. He didn't know. His foot caught and he stumbled. Rachel gasped. Too loud, too delighted. Oh! Mike laughed once, short and cruel. Dad, a beg. Obina grabbed air, then the cupboard handle, then nothing. He fell against the side of the bed with a dull thud. Pain shot through his shoulder. He bit it back and stayed quiet on the floor. "Chioma!" he called, voice shaking. Teresa's tone was cold. "Chioma is not your nurse. She went to buy detergent. Get up." Rachel leaned into the doorway, recording. "Daddy, wait. Let me help you." Oh no, the camera was not focused. She tapped her screen and lifted it again. "Rachel," Obina said softly, still on the floor. "Put the phone down." She paused, then slowly lowered it, lips tight, eyes everywhere but his face. Mike clicked his tongue. "This is why we need to sign and move on. Every small thing is drama." Teresa sighed loudly. "Lift him then, Mr. First Son." Mike didn't move. Obina pushed himself up with both hands and sat on the floor. He looked like a mountain trying to be small. "Please, just bring my stick." Teresa looked at Rachel. "Where did you keep it?" Rachel shrugged. "I don't know." But she knew. She had tucked it under the sofa when she passed the room earlier, just to teach him to stop depending on people. She glanced toward the sitting room and then away. Obina tried to stand. His hand slipped. He stayed on his knees and swallowed hard. "Please." Chioma's feet flew down the corridor. She reached him and dropped to the floor beside him. "Sir, I'm here." She slid her arm under his and helped him to the bed. "Easy. 1, 2. She settled him on the edge and hurried out, came back with the walking stick. It was under the sitting room sofa. Rachel's cheek stiffened. Chioma placed the stick in his hand. "I'm sorry, sir." Teresa scoffed. "For what?" He should not keep misplacing things. Obina held the stick like a lifeline. "Thank you, Chioma." Mike checked his watch. "Can we go now? The board is waiting for my call." Teresa waved him on. "Go. I'll meet you." Rachel slipped away without a word. The room fell quiet again, except for Obina's slow breathing. Chioma looked at the shifted rug and fixed it flat. She glanced at the door, then at Chief. "Sir, did they?" He lifted one hand. "Leave it." She pressed her lips together and nodded. By afternoon, the house heat folded over everything. Obina sat in the sitting room, close to the window where breeze could touch his face. The TV was on mute. He held the stick across his knees. "Chief," Chioma said from behind, "do you want to use the bathroom before lunch?" He hesitated, then nodded. "Yes." She offered her arm. He stood and they moved carefully toward the corridor. "Stop that." Teresa's voice snapped from the dining area. "Chioma, drop whatever you are doing and set the table. Guests are coming." Chioma kept her voice calm. "Madam, Chief wants to use the bathroom." Teresa walked in and blocked the corridor like a wall. "He can wait. Put plates first." Obina gripped the stick. "Teresa, please. I need to go now." She smirked. "Everything is now with you. 5 minutes will not kill you." He shifted his weight. "It will shame me." Teresa rolled her eyes. "Chioma, are you deaf?" "The table." Chioma looked from Teresa to Obina. "Sir." Obina swallowed. "Go. I'll be quick." Chioma whispered and ran. Teresa stood in the corridor and began to scroll her phone. She did not move. She did not look at him. Obina breathed slow, then slower. He held the stick with both hands and tried to pass. Teresa didn't shift. He turned back to the chair and sat down again, jaw tight. Minutes dragged like chains. His eyes burned behind the glasses. His body begged him to stand. "Teresa," he said, voice lower. "Please." She did not answer. Something in his chest cracked. Not from pain, from insult. He pushed himself up again, determined to pass. He took one step. The pressure in his belly answered with a stab. He froze, swallowing a cry. "Daddy, you again?" Rachel's voice floated from the staircase. She stopped midway and stared. She saw his face, the way shame had gathered in his shoulders. "Go back," Obina said, because he didn't want her to see him like this. She did not move. He shut his eyes and lost the battle. Warm humiliation ran down his leg. It was slow, then fast. Silence fell so hard the house could hear it. Teresa stepped back in disgust. "Jesus." Rachel covered her nose. Oh my God! Obinna held the stick so tight his knuckles ached. He didn't speak. He didn't defend himself. He just stood there with the last piece of pride blowing away like dust. Chioma came running with a bucket and towels the moment she smelled it. Sir, I'm here. Please, it's okay. She reached him before anyone else moved. Please don't stand. Sit. Let me help. Teresa snapped. Don't mess the chair. Chioma shot her a look she had never used before. Madam, please. She spread a towel on the seat and guided Chief down. Her hands were steady, her eyes gentle. Sir, I'll clean you. Please don't be sorry. I am sorry, he whispered. You're not, she said. You're a human being. Rachel stood frozen on the stairs, phone in her hand, camera half open. She lifted it, then dropped it, warring with herself. For a second, she almost recorded. For a second, she almost didn't. She tucked the phone away and folded her arms, unsure which part of her would win tomorrow. Teresa fanned the air as if it were dirty. You see why I say he should stay in his room? You see it. Chioma ignored her. She brought water, soap, clean clothes. She cleaned the floor first, then his legs, then his hands, all with the quiet dignity of someone washing a king who had just come from battle. She spoke softly the whole time. You're okay. Breathe. It will pass. I'm here. Obinna stared straight ahead, eyes behind glass, listening to her voice like it was the only sound in the world that still respected him. Mike walked in with a call still on speaker. His words died when he saw the scene. What is this? Teresa threw her hands up. Your father decided to disgrace us in the middle of the day. Mike's jaw hardened. He ended the call without goodbye. Dad, what is all this now? Chioma turned to him, her voice firm for the first time in that house. Sir, please. Not now. Mike blinked. He had never heard Chioma speak to him like that. Something in him wanted to bark. He looked at Obinna, then at Teresa, then at the wet towel in Chioma's hand. His face shifted into anger again because anger was easier. This is why I said we should get professional help. Now we're all prisoners here. Prisoners. Chioma repeated, disbelief plain. Teresa clapped once. Enough talk. Clean the floor and open the windows. It is already clean, Chioma said, still kneeling by Chief. And he needs a bath. I will call someone, Teresa said. You don't need to call anyone, Chioma replied. I will do it. She helped Obinna to his feet. Step, sir. 1, 2. She wrapped a clean towel around his waist like a shield and led him down the corridor. Rachel watched them pass. She pressed her lips together and turned away, then turned back, then looked at the floor. The fight in her face had no winner. In the bathroom, steam rose as Chioma warmed the water. She spoke little. She worked like a daughter, slow and careful, guarding his dignity as if it were gold. When she was done, she brought him a fresh kaftan and combed his hair with her fingers. Better, she said softly. You look like yourself. He sat on the edge of the bed, clean and quiet. Chioma. Sir. I will not forget today. Her eyes shone. Please, forget the pain. He shook his head. Not the pain. The hands that wiped it. She looked away quickly, afraid the tears would fall. I'll bring tea. Teresa entered before she could leave. She stood far from the bed. Next time, use adult diapers, she said, like a judge issuing a sentence. Chioma's head lifted. Madam. Obinna raised a hand. It's okay. Teresa smiled thinly. Good. As long as we understand. Mike and I are stepping out. We'll be back late. Try not to disturb the staff again. She left. Her heels clicked like insults. Chioma breathed out slowly. Sir, do you want the tea? Please. She brought it. He sipped. The warm cup steadied his hands. Outside, Rachel's laughter floated from the balcony. Loud at first, then thin, then quiet. Maybe she was telling the story. Maybe she was deleting it. Maybe she was just trying to laugh so she wouldn't think. Obinna set the cup down. They hid my stick. Chioma's jaw tightened. I know. They blocked the corridor. I know. They left me standing there. I know. He nodded once, a slow, heavy nod. Good. She frowned softly. Good. So when the day comes and they ask me what I saw while I was blind, he said, voice calm again, I will have the words. Chioma held his gaze even though he couldn't see hers. I will be your witness. He smiled a little, the first real smile since morning. You already are. The evening light slipped into the room. The house was quiet again, but not the kind of quiet that brings peace. It was the kind that holds its breath, waiting for what must come next. I was never blind. Chief Obinna said it calmly and took off the dark glasses with his own hand. Silence slapped the dining room. The documents on the table, the blue pen beside them, the heavy smiles on Teresa and the lawyers' faces. All of it froze. Mike's mouth opened and closed. Rachel's phone slipped from her fingers and thumped the rug. Teresa blinked fast, then laughed too loudly. What are you saying? Obinna, don't joke. Please put the glasses back. The light is strong. Obinna looked straight at her, eyes clear, steady, alive. Hello, Teresa. She took a small step back. The lawyer swallowed. Mike ran a hand over his head. Wait, what is happening? Obinna stood up without help. He didn't use the stick. He didn't even touch the chair. He looked at each face slowly, Teresa first, then Mike, then Rachel, then the lawyer, like a judge calling names in court. You asked for a family meeting, the lawyer said weakly. Sir, you said you're ready to sign. I said I was ready, Obinna replied, voice even. And I am. I am ready to speak. Teresa tried to recover. She smiled with too many teeth. Praise God. Your eyes? Are you healed? She clasped her chest. When did this miracle happen? There was no miracle, Obinna said. There was only a test. Mike stared. A test? Yes. Obinna shifted his gaze to him. A test for my wife. A test for my children. A test for everyone who says, I love you, when money is on the table. Rachel took a step toward the door. Daddy, this is scaring me. Sit, Obinna said softly. She sat. Teresa tried again. So you could see? All this while. You saw me crying, praying, running this house alone? You watched me suffer. Obinna looked at her for a long moment. What I saw was different from what you say. He turned his head. Chioma. She had been standing by the wall, quiet. Yes, sir. Please sit here, he said, pointing to the chair at his right. You will be my witness. Teresa's eyes flashed. Why is the maid sitting? This is my house, Obinna said. The words were not loud, but they were final. Sit, Chioma. Chioma sat, hands folded, eyes lowered. Obinna picked up a small black recorder from his pocket and placed it on the table beside the blue pen. He tapped it once. A red light blinked. You told me to sign in blue. I prefer red. The lawyer's throat clicked. Chief, what is this? Evidence, Obinna said. He pressed a button. A voice filled the room, thin at first, then sharp and clear. It was the lawyer's voice, fearful and familiar. I don't want Chief to catch us doing this in his own mansion, Teresa. Rachel stopped breathing. Mike shut his eyes. Teresa's shoulders stiffened. The recording continued. Teresa's voice smooth and cruel. Catch us? Don't be foolish. The old man can't even see his own hand in front of him. Talk less of catching us. He's blind and useless now. A soft, ugly giggle followed. The real Teresa spoke quickly. That is not me. Someone edited. Obinna raised a hand. The room swallowed her words. He pressed another button. The second clip played. Mike's voice, bright with alcohol and pride. Soon all this will be mine. The companies, the houses, the cars. Everything. My father is finished. Blind and old. He has no choice but to hand it over. Cheering in the background. Bottles clinking. Mike stared at the table. People say things at parties. People say what is already in their hearts, Obinna said. Another tap. Teresa again, on the phone, impatient and smug. Bring the pen. Use the blue one. The signature looks better in blue. The lawyer's face turned the color of wet paper. Sir, I can explain. You will, Obina said. But not now. He pressed again. Rachel's voice this time, bright and embarrassed at the door. Daddy, please don't come outside with me. You will embarrass me. A beat. The same voice, colder. Please, Daddy, just stay upstairs or go to your room. Rachel covered her mouth. Tears gathered but didn't fall. Daddy, Obina didn't look at her yet. He pressed one more clip. Teresa's tone, hard as stone, from the kitchen. Small portion for him this morning. No meat. He is not a child. He doesn't need much. And don't be wasting stew on one man. Another clip rolled immediately, fast and brutal. Obina's own voice, broken in the corridor. Please. Then Chioma's, steady and warm. Sir, I'm here. Then Teresa's disgust. Jesus. Mike's anger. Now we're all prisoners here. And Chioma again, firm like a wall for the first time. Sir, please. Not now. The room was a graveyard. Obina clicked the recorder off. The red light died. The only sound left was the fan above their heads, pushing hot air around the shame. Teresa found her tongue. Fine, she said, chin up. You recorded private family moments. You set traps. You wanted us to look bad. You made us carry this house while you lay down pretending. And now you want to play saint. Obina faced her fully. Teresa, I counted how many times you called me blind and useless in my own house. I counted how many times you hid my stick. I counted how many times you blocked my way to the bathroom and then complained about the smell you caused. His voice stayed steady, but his eyes were wet and bright. I counted, not because I enjoy pain, but because I needed to know the truth. Teresa's mouth hardened. You don't know what it means to be me. People look at me and laugh. They say, see Teresa suffering with a blind man. Do you know that shame? Obina nodded slowly. I know the shame of being mocked by my own wife while I lay awake listening. He turned to Mike. I know the shame of hearing my first son call me finished before strangers. He turned to Rachel, gentler. I know the shame of seeing my daughter hide me like a stain. Rachel's tears fell now, fast and small. Daddy, I was wrong. Teresa snapped at her. Don't start crying. He is manipulating us. Obina shifted his gaze to the lawyer. And you, paid to protect me, entered my room at night to betray me for free. The lawyer could barely speak. Sir, please. Teresa, she said. Obina held up his palm. Your words can wait. He sat down again, but taller than before. He placed the glasses on the table beside the recorder. He didn't need them anymore. I pretended to be blind, he said, because I wanted to see, and now I have seen. I have seen enough. Teresa tried one last angle. She softened her voice, slid it across the table like perfume. Obina, let's forget all this. Delete the recordings. It was pressure, fear, confusion. You know I love you. He looked at her ring, then at her face. Love does not sneak into the night with a lawyer and call a husband useless. Love does not starve. Love does not hide sticks. Love does not turn a man into a joke in his own house. She flinched. Mike dared to speak, stubborn to the end. So what now? You expose us and do what? The company still needs a leader. Investors still need answers. The company will get a leader, Obina said quietly. Investors will get answers. Mike leaned forward. Who? You? He laughed without joy. With what team? You pushed everyone away. I didn't push everyone away, Obina said, turning to Chioma. Some people came closer. Chioma lowered her eyes. Rachel wiped her face. Daddy, I'm sorry. I was stupid. Teresa snapped again. Keep quiet, Rachel. Obina shook his head. Let her speak. He looked at his daughter. Your apology is a start, but words must change into actions. I will watch. Rachel nodded, trembling. Yes, Daddy. The lawyer finally tried to stand. Chief, if I may. You may sit, Obina said. The man sat. Obina reached for the recorder and slipped it back into his pocket. Then he picked up the blue pen and turned it in his fingers, almost amused. You wanted blue, he said to Teresa without looking at her. Me, I want truth. He put the pen down. This is not the day of judgment, he said. Today is only the day of light. He tapped his eyes with 2 fingers. I can see now. All of you can see me too. His voice softened. Tonight, you will sleep with your own words. He stood, steady and tall. Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, we meet again in this room. He looked at Mike. Tell the board I will speak to them after that. He looked at the lawyer. Cancel every document you plan to bring. He looked at Teresa last. And come early. He turned to Chioma. Please walk with me. They rose together. As they moved toward the door, Obinna paused and faced the room one more time. I was never blind, he said again. But this time it sounded like a door closing. He walked out without a stick. Behind him, shame sat where the blue pen waited, bright and useless on the table. Judgment is this morning. That was the first thing Chief Obinna said at exactly 9 a.m. He walked into the dining room without glasses, without a stick, and sat at the head of the table. Teresa was already there, stiff and painted. Mike sat beside her, jaw tight. Rachel came in last, eyes swollen from a night of crying. The old blue pen lay where they had left it yesterday. Chioma stood by the wall, quiet. 2 men followed Obinna in. One wore a simple suit and carried a brown file. The other had a badge clipped to his belt. Teresa frowned. Who are these people? Obinna pointed with his chin. Barrister Okoye. He is my counsel. Inspector Dinladi. He is here because the law will sit with us today. The lawyer they had used, the lover, was not in the room. Mike shifted. Daddy, is all this necessary? Yes, Obinna said. Sit well and listen. Inspector Dinladi greeted the room politely and stood. Barrister Okoye opened his file and placed 2 documents on the table. Obinna spoke slowly, every word clear. Yesterday I said I could see. Today you will see me act. First, he tapped the first document. This is my notice to the board. All accounts are frozen pending audit. No one moves company money without my written approval. Not you, Mike. Not anyone. Mike shot up. What? You can't freeze. I can, Obinna said calm. And I have. He tapped the second paper. Second, I have updated my will. Effective today, Mike and Rachel are removed from inheritance. Cars, allowances, cards, everything are suspended. Security will collect keys before noon. Rachel gasped. Daddy! Teresa banged the table. You are wicked, Obinna. These are your children. They are my children, he said softly. But they are not my enemies. Yet they chose to act like enemies. He turned to Mike. You called me finished. You boasted to strangers. You pushed me to sign power to you because of greed. You forgot respect. Mike's voice shook with anger. I did what a first son should do. I fought for the company. You fought for yourself, Obinna replied. And you fought against me. He faced Rachel. You hid me from your friends. You used my money but not my name. You asked me to stay in my room like a stain. Rachel's voice broke. Daddy, I am sorry. I hear you, he said. But sorry has work to do. Today is consequence. Teresa laughed without joy. Punish them if you like. It will still be me and you in this house. I am your wife. Obinna nodded once. Yes, that is the third matter. He turned to Barrister Okoye. Read it. The barrister stood and read in plain language. Petition for divorce. Grounds: adultery, cruelty, conspiracy to defraud, emotional abuse. He placed a second sheet on the table. Application for restraining order, pending proceedings. Madam Teresa will not enter the master room or the study after today. She will not access any company office. She will not remove property from this house. Teresa's mouth dropped. You dare file divorce for me? Me, Teresa? You will disgrace me like this. You disgraced me first, Obinna said. In my bed, in my corridor, in my own ears. She tried to stand. Inspector Dinladi raised a hand. Madam, please remain seated. Teresa pointed at him. Why are you here? This is a family quarrel. The inspector's tone was cool. This is also a criminal matter. He looked at Obinna. Sir. Obinna nodded. Fourth matter. The man you called darling in my bedroom is under arrest for attempted fraud, forgery, and conspiracy. He entered my house to deceive me. He will answer for it. As if on cue, a phone rang. The inspector glanced at his screen, listened for 3 seconds, and nodded. Yes, bring him in. The gate opened. 2 officers walked the family lawyer into the room. His tie was crooked. His eyes were dull. He looked at Teresa, then at the floor. Teresa stood up. Leave him. He did nothing. The inspector spoke gently. Madam, he will speak at the station. He turned to the lawyer. You are under arrest. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say may be used against you. Do you understand? The man nodded weakly. Yes. Teresa reached for him. I will follow you. Obinna's voice cut across the room. You will sit down. Her hand froze. The officers led the lawyer out. The gate closed. Quiet returned, heavier than before. Obinna looked at Teresa. You entered my room at night with him and called me useless. You starved me. You hid my stick. You laughed when I fell. I will not fight you with hands. I will fight you with truth and law. She swallowed hard, pride slowly draining out of her face. So this is how you pay me back? He shook his head. This is how I protect myself. Mike slammed his palm on the table. So where does that leave us? Me and Rachel? On the street? Is that your joy? Obinna didn't blink. It leaves you where your choices put you. Out of my company. Out of my accounts. Out of this house by sunset. Rachel cried openly. Daddy, please. I don't know where to go. You will go to where humility lives, he said. You will work. You will learn value. If you change, we will talk again. But not today. Teresa's voice turned sharp. You cannot send your children out. Obinna leaned forward. Watch me. Silence pressed down again. Then he breathed out and turned his face to the one person who had not spoken much. Chioma. She looked up. Sir. Come here. She came to his side. Obinna stood, and the room stood with him. From today, he said, Chioma is the head of this household. She will manage this home, the staff, the supplies, the accounts for the house. She will report directly to me. Nobody will insult her here again. Teresa scoffed. A maid. A daughter, Obinna corrected. She washed shame off me when you poured it. She fed me when you starved me. She defended me when you mocked me. She is not your size. She is your example. Chioma shook her head quickly, eyes wet. Sir, I don't deserve. You do, he said. And more. He looked at Barrister Okoye. Set up a trust for her education and for her family. Buy her a car. Give her an apartment near the house for privacy. If she wants to stay here, she stays. If she wants to study, she studies. If she wants to start a business, we fund it. Rachel stared, shock fighting shame. Mike stared at the floor. Teresa stared at nothing. Obinna faced the 3 of them one by one. I will not curse you, he said. I will not fight you with bitterness. But I will not carry you while you cut my hands. Leave this house today. When your hearts are ready to be clean, we can speak again. Teresa tried to gather her pride like a rapper. People will laugh at you. They will say, Chief threw out his wife and children for a maid. People will say what they like, Obinna replied. But the people who matter, the ones who know truth, will not laugh. He turned to the inspector. Please, see them out by evening if they refuse to go. The inspector nodded. Yes, sir. Obinna looked at Chioma again. Call the staff. She pressed a bell. The cook, the driver, the guards, the cleaner, everyone came to the doorway. Obinna kept his voice plain. From today, Chioma is your head. Treat her with honor. Anyone who disrespects her disrespects me. Yes, sir, they chorused. He dismissed them with a nod. Then he picked up the old blue pen, weighed it in his hand, and set it down gently. We are done here, he said to the room. Teresa stood. You will regret this. Obinna's reply was soft. I regret trusting the wrong hearts. but I do not regret seeing clearly. She turned and walked out, back straight but steps unsteady. Mike followed, angry and empty. Rachel lingered. "Daddy," she whispered, "can I hug you?" He looked at her for a long second, then opened his arms. She came close and shook with quiet sobs. He held her, but his voice stayed firm. "Go and learn," he said. "Don't learn with my money. Learn with your life. When you are ready, we will talk." She nodded and left. The room thinned to four: Obinna, Chioma, the barrister, the inspector. Obinna exhaled like a man stepping out of deep water. Inspector Dinladi saluted lightly. "We will send updates from the station, sir." "Thank you," Obinna said. The inspector left. The barrister packed his file. "I will file the orders before close of day." "Do so," Obinna replied, "and inform the board that I will chair a brief call at noon. We will appoint a managing director. I will not leave the company in the hands of children." "Yes, sir." The barrister left. Silence settled, clean this time. Obinna turned to Chioma. "Walk with me." They stepped onto the veranda. The air was soft. He looked at the compound he had built and at the house he had almost lost. "I am sorry for everything you saw," he said. Chioma shook her head. "I am grateful I was here." He smiled small. "You kept me human." She looked away, shy. "You were always human. They just forgot." He nodded. "Then let us remind the world." They stood without speaking for a while. At the gate, a car engine started. Another stopped. Lives were moving. Obinna spoke again, quiet and sure. "People think blindness is in the eyes," he said. "But it is in the heart. Mine is open now." Chioma breathed in, steady. "Mine too, sir." He turned toward the house. "Come. There is work to do." They went back inside together. No glasses, no stick. Leaving the blue pen on the table, bright and useless, and carrying with them the only thing that mattered, the truth they had chosen.